And joining us now is Larry Kudlow. He is the Chief Economic Advisor to the President. Larry, welcome to the program. It's very good to see you. The President just said very close to a plan to reopen the economy. Would May, at some point in the month of May, be a reasonable target to go to towards reopening some parts of the economy?
Well, look, Stu, the quote you gave the President talking about guidelines to give to the states and so forth, you know, I can't improve upon that. I do think it's safe to say that in the next few days, he will be making some very important announcements regarding those guidelines. Look, the key point here, really, number one, safety, the health and safety of the American people. Number two, the well-being of the American people. We want to get folks back to work. You know, folks, ordinary men and women, blue-collar workers, families, small businesses. We want to do it as quickly as possible. It has to be safe. It has to be driven by the data from our key health specialists. But the President, I think, is moving towards some very important announcements in the next day or two.
It won't be a simultaneous reopening all states everywhere. Presumably, some parts of the country are more suitable to a reopening than others. Would you agree with that?
Well, I think that's true from a common sense standpoint. And again, the President has suggested a kind of rolling re-entry here. But I don't want to, you know, I don't want to front run his views. I don't want to pre-announce anything this morning. I just want to say again, you know, it's a question of health, it's a question of safety, and it's a question of well-being, so that, you know, folks, Main Street folks, middle-class, blue-collar folks, we want to get them back to work as soon as we safely can. I believe the country is ready to go back to work. And, you know, I just want to make a point here. The President's vision all along, you go all the way back from the time he was elected, lower taxes, sweeping deregulation, energy independence, fair trade deals to help manufacturers and farmers and so forth. That generated a tremendous, tremendous prosperity. Okay? It's important that we not forget that. And now comes this pandemic, and it's an awful situation, and it's affected health and lives, and of course it's slammed the economy. We're going to be in a brief temporary contraction. But I think this, Stu, with the President's economic policy vision on taxes and regulations and so forth, there's no reason why, when this pandemic passes and we begin to reopen the economy in a safe manner, there's no reason we can't begin quickly to rebuild and reignite the American economy and regenerate, if you will, the same kind of tremendous jobs and wages and prosperity that we had before. And I think we're going to see great economic numbers in the back end of this year.
You're seeing, look, you're looking at the other side of this thing. You're looking at the economy on the other side of this pandemic. We've got trillions of dollars flowing into the economy from the Treasury, from the Federal Reserve. It's all flowing into the economy. And you are looking at the other side. When does the pickup in the economy start? Because, look, J.P. Morgan's saying, look, we're in a severe recession as of right now. We're in the depths right now. When do we start to see those improving numbers?
Well, you know, on a lot of these forecasts and so forth, I don't want to quibble with anything. I'm just saying this is, you know, using those old terms, recession or related terms, you know, this was not of our own making. This is a very special, unusual situation because of the coronavirus and the pandemic. Now, looking on the other side of that, again, I'm saying the very same incentives that the President put into place when he was first elected, showing up in the stock market, showing up in the jobs market, showing up in the employment numbers, showing up in middle and lower middle class wage increases. You know, inequality was falling under President Trump's policies before the pandemic. So I don't want to be precise on anything. I'm just saying that we regard this as a temporary matter. We're ready to go back and take the necessary steps to get America back on track. The President himself will be making a number of important, key, vital announcements in the next day or two.
Do you want to see another rescue plan? I know that it is being considered. Do you think we need it? I ask because the House is not going back to work in D.C. until May the 4th. That's 3 weeks away. Do we need it more urgently than that?
Well, a couple points on this. First of all, in 2 weeks, we've executed an unbelievably large, largest rescue plan in American history. I just had some up-to-date numbers. In terms of the small business assistance, the payroll protection plan, this is from the Treasury Department. We've approved over 1 million loans. This is in 2 weeks or slightly less. $250 billion now has been approved, and the money is, in fact, flowing. Indeed, I want to say this, Stuart, we have requested an extra $250 billion on top of the original $350. At the present run rate, we're going to be out of money for the Small Business Assistance Plan. So we ask Congress to please put partisanship aside and let's get that additional money. The other point I want to make is checks are going out. The Economic Impact Assistance Plan, direct Treasury checks from the IRS, will be at almost $150 billion by tomorrow, I am told. And the total package, this is such an extraordinary number. We have provided assistance to roughly 175 million Americans. It's an extraordinary number. Predominantly middle-class folks, Main Street folks, blue-collar folks, and the like. Nothing like this has ever been done before. So that's the focus right now, and we would like to fill up our loan card with some extra help from Congress because these payroll protection plans are the burn rate. They're so popular, the burn rate is going to get us out before this week is over. And don't forget, we had the business payroll tax holiday. We've deferred income tax payments for individuals and companies. We've deferred student loan payments. These are all part of the plan for liquidity and cash and stability. And now I look forward to the point when America can reignite, when America can go back to the animal spirits and restore the prosperity that President Trump's original policy vision and execution put into place.
There are some Republicans in the Senate who want to, as they say, hold China accountable for what happened during the epidemic and thereafter. Would that hurt trade? Because they're talking in punitive terms, as if they want to punish China and certainly change the supply chain when it comes to pharmaceuticals. Will that hurt, A, our relationship with China, and B, our trade with China?
Well, look, a couple things. First of all, China has to be accountable in a number of areas. Trade, the Phase 1 deal, which is proceeding, by the way, certainly in fairness to the Chinese. We are moving. I'm sure it's slower than it would have otherwise been the case, but reports are coming in. That deal is being implemented. China needs to be held accountable on a number of measures. Over a period of time, they will be held accountable. There's no question about that. Having said that, the president is engaging with China. He is speaking with President Xi. Their relationship remains very positive. So we are working with them. Look, another point that often comes up, American companies overseas, supply chains overseas, look, we would like to bring them home, just as a matter of policy across the board. You and I have talked about this. To me, 100% expensing, whether it's structures, plants, equipment, renovations, intellectual property, that would essentially pay the moving expenses for companies to come back to America. That's a general policy. And by the way, it would also help America to recover even more rapidly from the pandemic. But again, we are engaging with China, and the trade deal is being implemented.
Larry, the airlines are working out a deal for support from the government. If part of that support means the government taking an ownership stake in an airline, a piece of the equity, or Boeing, for example, do you approve of that?
Yes, I do. I don't want to speak to specifics. Secretary Mnuchin has said, and the president has said, time and again, that in return for assistance, taxpayers, U.S. taxpayers, have a right to take some equity position. After all, we're being very generous with the airlines. We need a functioning air system. There's no question about that. That's true for other parts of transportation. I won't go into specifics. That's up to Mr. Mnuchin. But yes, I support that policy completely.
Larry Kudlow, we've taken a lot of your time on a busy day. We always appreciate it. Mr. Kudlow, thanks for joining us, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Stu. Appreciate it.